Good evening. Apologize for us being a little late. A lot of things took a lot of discussion in the work session tonight. We had just a very brief executive session. So I appreciate your patience, and the time is 7:40, and I will call the public hearing and regular business meeting of the Mayor and Council for the City of Snellville, Georgia, Monday, February 24th, 2025 to order. We do have a quorum. All members are present. And tonight, I do want to make, before we get started with the invocation, I do want to make one announcement. The list of the meetings and local events that was in our agenda packet was missing one item, February 25th, which is tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. Tomorrow night, the Planning Commission meeting at 7:30 was not listed on the event list that was in the packet, but it's on our website. It's always the same meeting or the same day or the month, but just did want to call that to your attention. So tonight we will start with the invocation to be given by Bobby Howard.
Thank you, Mayor. Join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight in gratitude for the opportunity to serve this community and to seek your wisdom in our discussions and decisions. We ask for your guidance over this council, that every action taken will be for the good of the people of Snellville. Tonight, Lord, we lift up in solemn remembrance the 13 brave police officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice in 2025. These men and women stood in the gap to protect, serve, and embody courage, duty, and selflessness. We pray for their families, friends, and fellow officers who continue to grieve their loss. May they find comfort in your presence and strengthen their memories. Lord, we ask for your protection over all who wear the badge. Grant them the wisdom in their duties, safety in their service, peace in their hearts. May we never take for granted the sacrifices they make to keep our communities safe. Bless this meeting, Father, and may our words and actions reflect integrity, respect, and the commitment to the greater good. We ask this in your holy most name. Amen.
Thank you, Bobby. And if you'll stand for the pledge to be led by Norman Carter.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all, and we'll move to the ceremonial matters. We have one proclamation, Proclamation 2025-05 for Black History Month. Whereas Black History Month is a time to honor and celebrate the rich heritage, achievements, and contributions of African Americans to the history, culture, and progress of the United States, Georgia, and the city of Snellville. Whereas the observance of Black History Month originated from the vision of Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who, born to illiterate parents in 1875, became the second Black man to earn and obtain a doctorate from Harvard University in 1912. And whereas Dr. Woodson dedicated his life to education and history and began efforts to encourage the study of Black history in 1926 and continued to lobby until his death in 1950. Whereas Black History Month provides an opportunity for all citizens to reflect on the sacrifices, triumphs, and resilience Black people throughout our rich history. Whereas February, the birth month of Frederick Douglass and President Abraham Lincoln, has been established nationally as Black History Month by proclamation of Gerald Ford in 1976 and codified into law by Congress in 1986. And whereas Black History Month affords special opportunity to become more knowledgeable about Black heritage and to honor the many Black leaders who have contributed to the progress of our great nation. And whereas I call upon all citizens to join me in celebrating these achievements. Now, therefore, I, Barbara Bender, the mayor of the city of Snellville, where everybody's proud to be somebody, do hereby join with the City Council and the citizens of Snellville to proclaim February 2025 Black History Month and urge our residents to join together in making this period of rededication to the principles of justice and equality for all. Okay. And now we will move to the minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes of the February 8th, 2025 work retreat and the February 10th, 2025 work session, public hearings, and regular meeting.
There is a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. We have no invited guests or committee or department reports, so we'll move to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve tonight's agenda for February 24th, 2025.
With
Gretchen, to add the moratorium.
change.
Oh, I'm sorry. And to add under item, that would be item F, new business, item B, a moratorium on wall murals and wall signs, a 6-month moratorium.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second. Murals and variances
We're okay.
on wall signs.
So we have a motion to approve the agenda with adding one item B under new business. And a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. Okay, now we will move into our public hearing. We have several items under our public hearing. We have item A, second reading, HRO, which is Home Rule Ordinance 2025-01, Home Rule Charter Amendment to the Charter of Snellville, Georgia by amending 6.31 contracting procedures established by the existing charter. The change that we're making to the charter here under Home Rule has to do with our purchasing policy. Currently, any purchases for the city that exceed $10,000 require a sealed bid. And that's a timely and costly, it takes a lot of time and it costs a lot of money to do sealed bids. And with the way all the costs have gone up, that makes almost everything we purchase have to go out to a sealed bid. So we are changing in our charter, it specifies a dollar amount. We're changing the charter to allow us to change that to a policy that we will have, and that policy will follow state law. Actually, I think our state law is $100,000. They're currently considering $250,000, but we'll be at
Yeah, ours will be less than this.
will be less than what state law.
Yeah,
What did we say, 75,000?
75,000.
Would be our limit, but we'll set that by city policy versus a charter item. So is there a motion?
Motion to approve HRO 2025-01.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a second by Councilmember Carter. This is a public hearing item, so I will open the floor to public comment. If anyone would like to speak on this matter, either for or against, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, I will close the public comment and I will call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. Next, we have item B, second reading, SUP 25-01, Ordinance 2025-05, consideration and action on application by Michael Briscoe, Briscoe's Pharmacy PC, doing business as Snell's Pharmacy, requesting a special use permit for a 140 square foot mural painted on the southern building elevation and variance from Section 207-6.2, definitions of Article 7, Chapter 200 of the Snellville Unified Development Ordinance for the property zoned BG General Business District at 2295 Oak Road, Snellville, Georgia, tax parcel 5026225.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council and public for being here tonight. What we have here is a special use permit for a wall mural, SUP-25-01, located at the Snell Pharmacy right across the street, 2295 Oak Road. A little backstory. The applicant for the wall sign permit was not aware that a permit was required for this type of signage. It was placed or painted in its location at that point in time. It was seen, and we asked to apply for a permit. Under our current code, that does not classify or meet the definition of what we believe a wall sign to be, so the applicant was suggested to apply for a mural SUP with a variance from the definition of the substrate. And I'll keep it simple. Basically by the definitional intent of the code, a mural is a piece of artwork painted or applied directly on a wall. That's the portion of the code that the applicant has requested variance on, and you can't see it here, but typically one of the definitions that we use in the SUP for a mural is that it has to be painted directly to its face. There's a small, I believe, half-inch plaster layer that the sign/mural was painted on, and for that reason, and that reason alone, and the precedent that we are concerned about, we recommend denial of the request. But you can see he's applying for a mural and a variance from the definition of the mural. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions of council for Mr. Thompson?
Mr. Thompson, the planning department recommended denial. If this is denied, what must he do then? Is there any requirements for? I'm sorry, I didn't have my button pushed. Okay. Your planning department recommends denial. If this should be denied, what then must Mr. Briscoe do as far as the existing?
We'd have some time
mural?
for compliance, but ultimately you have to remove the signage. Remove the signage, the mural. If you consider it signage, then it's oversized. So if it is in fact a sign, we'd have to, basically remove it, paint over it, remove the graphic. That would be the fix to become compliant.
Any other questions of council for Mr. Thompson?
Just a quick clarification.
Yes, ma'am?
Jason, Planning Department recommended denial,
Correct.
but Planning Commission
Correct.
recommended approval.
They did.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I think it was 3-2, something like that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you.
Is the applicant present? Would you like to come up and explain your case?
Dr. Michael Briscoe. I reside at 2571 Church Street in Snellville, and 2295 is the business. I want to thank y'all for the opportunity to present this request for a special use permit. I've been the pharmacist and owner of Snell's Pharmacy for 20 years, but it's been in my family since 1956, making it one of, if not the oldest business still operating in this city. And in keeping with the improvements that y'all were trying to do, with all the beautification down here, I took it upon myself and my expense incurred to repaint my building and to put the mural up to try to meet y'all's vision and try to make it dress it up some for the area. I was mistakenly accepted the assurance of my contractor, who advised me that I didn't need to paint your building. You can paint your building. And I said, okay, I'll paint my building. And then code violations and this and that, and now we have finally made our way here. I'm committed to the success of Snellville and of Snell's Pharmacy, and I feel the updated look and the mural is an asset to our community. And I've heard nothing but praise over it from the people who come in the store. During the planning commission meeting that I was at, I did bring up and pointed out the fact that the paperwork that was done then, that I guess y'all have, it says a mural defined by Section 2076 in the Snellville Unified Development Order as any piece of artwork painted or applied directly to a wall, ceiling, or other permanent surface. Then it went down to say, because the graphic over here has been painted and applied to smooth concrete that was then applied to the masonry brick wall, it's not a mural. And that's just not how it happened. I mean, the lady painted this mural on the side of my building in 100-degree weather, standing under an umbrella. The only thing that was done, the substrate, they came along, my contractors, and just applied concrete to give her a smooth something to paint upon. But yeah, it definitely was not painted and then hung up there. It was a mural done on the side of my building. And so I guess that's, in a nutshell,
Story, and you're sticking
that's
to
my
it.
story.
Any questions of the council for Mr. Briscoe? No. Thank you. This is a public hearing item, so I will open the floor to public comment. If you'd like to speak either for or against, please step forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Tricia Rollins, 2088 Harbor Oaks Drive. I don't see any difference in the application of this mural to the one that's on 78. There was not a permit, as I know, for the one on 78. They smeared where the trucks had hit the wall, they smeared whatever it was in there just to level it out, to paint on it. This is a mural. You can't take it like a sign and take it down. It's a mural. The Snells have always done the best for Snellville. Snellville Pharmacy has been here since 1956. I sat on the stool at Mr. Joe's Pharmacy in 1970, having a lemonade. It was community. They've remained community. This looks great for that area. Looks better than the chickens on the balcony at the Tomlin.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, then I will close the floor to public comment and entertain a motion.
Motion to approve SUP 25-01 with reference to ordinance 2025-05.
There is a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any discussion by council? Nope. Then I will call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 5 in favor. Any opposed? And with 1 opposed. The SUP is granted. Next, we have item C. Second reading, RZ 25-01, ordinance 2025-03. Consideration and action on application by Split Silk Properties LLC, representing Cinecoin Investment LLC, the property owner, requesting A, to amend the official zoning map from RS30 Single Family Residential District to RTH Townhouse Residential District, and B, request for variances from the Snellville Unified Development Ordinance for a 67-unit single-family attached townhome development on a 17.44-acre site with a density of 3.84 acres per units per acre, located near the intersection of U.S. Highway 78, Athens Highway, and Rosebud Road, 3000 block of Rosebud Road, Snellville, Georgia, and that's tax parcel R5100-023. After discussion in the work session, and the applicant had, no. Yes. I believe we are going to table this second reading if there is such a motion. I am calling for a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we table RZ 25-01 to the regularly scheduled meeting of Mayor and Council of April 14th, 2025, and be put on our agenda for public hearing at such time.
There is a motion to table to April 14th. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion and a second, and I will just say the reason for this tabling of this project at this point is the applicant made a few changes that were submitted on Monday, and the planning department hasn't had enough time. It has to do with either setbacks or the alley widths or the street width, and just making sure that the project will all work for the applicant. And it was just too much to take in the short period of time, so we're going to table that to allow everyone some time to review. So we have a motion and a second to table to April 14th. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. Next, we have item D, second reading, UDO 25-01, consideration and action on amendment number 8 to the text of Chapter 200, zoning and land use of the Snellville Unified Development Ordinance. This again, we are planning to table. We have included in these amendments are several different things that we are addressing. One is medical THC dispensaries, CDB stores. Is that right, CDB or CBD? Yeah. I had a client whose initials were like almost the same thing, and it confuses me every time. And we had a couple other things in there, but one of those was special event facilities as well. So this is related to item E that we're also going to postpone, and that's allowing the special event facilities and providing the rules for them to be able to serve alcohol during any of their special events. We had a draft and we came up with a lot of changes this past week, so we need a little more time to digest those, make sure we're all good. And since that ordinance will also affect the UDO, we're postponing both of these items. So with that explanation, is there a motion?
Motion to table the second reading of UDO 25-01 to the March 10th meeting.
There is a motion. Is there a second? Second. There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. And next we have item E, second reading, ordinance 2025-04, consideration and action on an ordinance to amend the alcoholic beverage ordinance, Chapter 6, to provide for and amend procedures for obtaining special event licenses and special event spaces to obtain alcohol licenses, to provide severability, to repeal conflicting ordinances, to provide an effective date, and for other purposes. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we table item E, second reading ordinance 2025-04 until the next council meeting.
Can you say March 10th?
Until the March 10th meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. There is a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. Okay, we have nothing under our consent agenda or old business. Now we have new business. We have item A, consideration and action on House Bill 581, floating homestead exemption. If any of you have been paying attention, the city had opted to hold hearings to determine on House Bill 581, which is the property tax exemption bill that the state passed last year. And we've held hearings to consider whether the city wanted to opt in or opt out, and so we're here at this final decision point. We do have to have this passed by March the 1st. However, the state is entertaining, I think, a bill passed out of the House, I don't know, we'll see what happens in the Senate, to postpone this. But at this point, we don't have a postponement. I believe, Todd, you said that it would allow for us to go back up to a year potentially to change our minds, which the current law does not allow for. So just to give you a very brief overview, because we've done presentations of this at the 3 other meetings. But if we opt in, then that means that we will follow the new state law, which allows for your home values to go up every year by the rate of inflation. If we opt out, it means that we keep with the same system that we've been doing, which is our millage rate, of course, is calculated based on what your home's assessed value was. If the county reassesses your property and that property value goes up, then our millage rate is calculated on that higher millage rate. And what the bill does, what House Bill 581 does, is it doesn't allow that increase in your assessment to go beyond up any higher than the rate of inflation. So with that explanation, I will entertain a motion of council.
Motion to approve Resolution 2025-03, resolution by the City of Snellville to opt out of the homestead exemption.
Okay, there is a motion to opt out. Is there a second? There is a motion to opt out with a second. So we can move to discussion. I am going, because of the nature of this, I will open the floor to public comment, and we'll do that before we have discussion of council. So if anyone would like to make a comment on this, please step forward and provide your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I will close that. Comments by council?
Madam Mayor, if I might, my initial reaction upon hearing about this law was not very positive. It's structured in such a way that takes a lot of control away from jurisdictions, county, school board, and city. And I'm not in favor of that. But I also see across the state as redevelopment happens that people are being pushed out of their homes for no other reason that their neighbors have sold their houses, had them renovated, and have been sold for astronomical amounts of money. And some of our less well-off residents across the state, not necessarily here in the city, are pushed out of their homes because they can't keep up with the property taxes. And this is the state's ham-fisted way of trying to solve that problem. I have spoken to quite a few of Gwinnett's delegation, both state representatives and senators, and I am of the belief that regardless of what vote we make tonight, the city will be forced into compliance eventually. I have been working with both the Georgia Municipal Association and our state representatives to try to get some changes in place that will protect the city, its financial future, and also our residents. There's some structural flaws in the laws passed, and I've been assured that they are working to cure those, which will take some of the issues that I have off the table. It will still, in the future, make it more likely that we will have to have tax increases by your elected officials, but that's part of the job. If you don't want to do it, don't run for it. But it will also put a disproportionate burden of the tax burden upon people who potentially can ill afford it, people who have to live in rental houses because they cannot afford to purchase a house. Those increased taxes that they will see that homeowners won't will be passed through. There's landlords are a business. They pass through their expenses. And for that myriad of reasons, I will not be able to vote in support of opting out of HB 581. Boy, that was a lot of running around in circles. My apologies to everybody who had to listen to that.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any other council members wish to speak?
Well, like Mr. Warner, I was originally thinking of opting out. Although, when I voted in the referendum, I had a really hard time understanding what this was all about. And it's just a very complicated issue to understand. And as I started learning about it, I started realizing what kind of a financial hardship it would cause for our budgets in the future. But I'm going tonight to vote to opt in, mainly because I feel obligated to support the vote of the citizens. And there was a majority, 63% of the citizens voted for opting in. And I feel obligated to support that. So I'll vote opting in tonight, although I realize this is going to cause a real strain on the city as far as financial issues in the future. And as Todd said, there will probably have to be millage rate increases in the future to make up for the losses if we're going to be able to provide the same level of services that we have now. So,
Thank you, Gretchen. Anyone else?
I just have one comment. As it was on the ballot, the ballot did not vote to opt in or opt out. If you read the ballot actually says that the city can take a vote on the option to opt in or opt out. And I think that that's where the problem comes with understanding. These things are placed on the ballot purposely to mislead people and to cause confusion. And the way that they're worded by people who want to get a specific result. And unfortunately, the end result of this is that the very people who are here talking about opting in will be the same people who will be coming here on the microphone complaining about the millage rate going up several percentage points. And that's my reason for opting out.
Thank you, Councilmember Carter. Anyone else?
I think a lot of the points that I was going to make have been made. We were established as a local government for home rule purposes. Let's home rule. I really dislike and resent the idea of the state taking power away from us. We are elected officials, and you have given us the authority to make the decisions with the support of the people. Let's exercise that authority here, right here in Snellville. The way that this was worded on the ballot, again, deceptive. This particular tax, if we choose to opt in, is going to be a regressive tax. It will fall more heavily on individuals who are less able to pay. The reality is very different from what's being presented. The state of Georgia, the state legislators looked at everything, every district, municipality, special districts, school board districts with one broad brush. Not every city depends on property taxes for funding. Some cities depend on utilities. To an individual city that depends on utilities, this really isn't a big deal. Opting in, opting out, their revenue sources are not highly affected by property tax one way or the other. Our city is structured in such a way that our revenue source depends on property tax. The school board, for example, you're seeing school boards across Georgia opt out. Why? That is their number one revenue source. If you don't want to fund your school districts, you gotta, or if you want to fund your school districts appropriately, you gotta opt out. The county has opted out. We would like to make local decisions locally. That sounds very simplistic, but that's why I'm sitting up here, why I'm hoping to do so based on the best interests of Snellville, all of the citizens of Snellville.
Thank you, Councilmember Linsky. Anyone else?
Many good points have been made this evening on this topic and in the last few months as we have discussed this on both sides of the matter. And like many of the people up here, I was not a fan of this from the beginning, did not support it from the beginning. And personally, I still don't. However, I do believe, I agree with Norman, it was very convoluted the way it was presented. But I believe that we, as a city and as an elected board, have done our due diligence to share the accurate information of what this bill will do, and I do believe that our citizens have made clear to us what they want us to do. And I think the meetings, the public hearings that we had did not have very many repeat attenders. It was mostly new faces each time. And for that reason, I will opt in because I believe that is what the citizens of the city have made known to us that they want us to do.
Thank you, Carrie. I think everyone has made some very persuasive arguments tonight, and I think Councilmember Linsky, you laid it out very well, and I appreciate your views on this. And this, I mean, the state has handed us a very tough thing. It put us in a really bad spot, to quote former Councilmember Bobby Howard from one of our town hall meetings. It does, if you vote to opt out, which, you know, it helps us keep doing business the way we do business when it comes to setting millage rate and figuring out the budget. You know, opting out really is that best solution. But it does factor in that the state did put this out on the ballot, regardless of how deceptive the message was. The citizens think they voted for a certain thing, and this is a hard one, but I think we need to support opting in. I agree with Mayor Pro Tem Todd Warner that whether we opt in or opt out at this point, I think the state's going to come back and make that decision for us if we were to opt out, and they're going to make it whatever they choose. And I think, to Councilmember Linsky's point, the encroachment of the state legislature on city government and local control of you as citizens here in the city being able to design a community that suits your needs and what you want, and we as your elected officials to carry out your will, is being thwarted at every turn. There's some bills that are playing around down there now that will gut certain aspects of what we do here as a local government, and we're the ones that are going to get the backlash of why aren't we doing something, and it's going to be because the state has preempted us. So you know, we're getting this at every turn, and the only thing that we can ask is that you as citizens get in contact with your state legislature, your state senators, your state representatives, and you let them know that these local control issues need to stay locally, so that we can make a decision here in Snellville that represents our community, and we're not affected by decisions that are being made in any of the other 530 cities across the state of Georgia. A lot of these decisions, I think, are coming down as knee-jerk reactions to something one city did, and we wind up punishing everybody, and they write the law to fix that one problem in that one city, not recognizing what it does to the rest of us. But be all of that as it may, I think the voters have weighed in. We've provided information to people, and the majority that we've talked to are still in support of opting in, and so I think that's the way I will vote on this. So with all of that, I think everyone has spoken, so I will ask for the vote. Were you going to say something? Yes, I will. I was going to restate the motion. The motion on the floor currently is to opt out, and we have a motion and a second to opt out. So all of those in favor of opting out, please raise your hand. That is 1, 2. All of those for not opting out. All of those opposed to opting out, maybe I'll say it that way. Please raise your hand. That is 4 in favor of not opting out. Gosh, can it be any more confusing tonight? I know it. So the motion to opt out fails. Now, what that means is we don't technically have to do another resolution because we now default to opting in.
Only if you want to, Mayor. I was just going to say, if the motion to opt out fails, you by law are opting in. So if you do nothing, you opt in.
If anyone would choose to make a motion to opt in, I will allow that motion at this point. Nope. Okay. Okay, so we are opting in. And lastly, we have item B, it's new item B, a moratorium for murals and for any wall signs with variances for 6 months. Is there a motion?
Motion to support a moratorium on murals or variances on wall signs through August 15th, 2025.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. That'll just give us some time to put some rules around what we want to do with murals, because I feel like there'll be some more coming in the town center especially. With that, that ends our business part of the meeting, so I will move to council reports. Councilmember Carter.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for hanging with us over this lengthy meeting. A couple things I'd like to mention. Very soon, our city, hope I'm correct, city manager and downtown development authority will finalize an agreement with the management of the Tomlin Apartments to share certain costs maintaining the parking deck at the Snellville Town Center. This includes cleaning, pest control, garage, electric services, garage pressure washing, light bulb replacement, and fire alarm monitoring and inspections, and those signs we get complaints about. So that'll be agreement signed soon, I believe.
Well, so the parking tank is technically owned by the Downtown Development Authority, who approved and signed the agreement last week.
Okay.
So it is.
We're good.
So the other party, we're waiting for the Tomlin to sign.
Thank you. Next, I entitled this From Little Acorns, Big Oaks Grow. I did some investigation into this, looking it up on the internet, and many of you know that I have a background as a supervisor in the Philadelphia Narcotics Unit. So this is very, very close to me. On October 24th, Corporal Austin Saunders began an investigation based on information he gleaned from a vehicle tag registration. Years of accumulated knowledge, that's why we have to retain our police officers, and intuition led to a small inquiry into a major drug trafficking investigation. It turns out that the primary offender was a member of a Chinese nationalist drug trafficking organization. This is a huge organization in this country that is basically controlling illegal marijuana sales, illegal marijuana in the country, in this country. These are violent people and were operating within the city of Snellville. Corporal Saunders identified that the offender had been laundering, hear this, millions of dollars for years from drug trafficking. At the conclusion of investigation in January 2025, more than 326 pounds of marijuana, large bulk currency, 2 firearms were confiscated as a result of a vehicle investigation and a search warrant. The offender was arrested. Some of you may be unaware of the fact that illegal marijuana sales finance not only other drug operations, but also finance insinuating criminals into legitimate businesses, providing weapons to terrorist organizations, and murder. Today, I personally commend Chief Perry, Assistant Chief Matson, Corporal Saunders, and all of the Snellville Police Department, who do so much that we neither see nor acknowledge. Neither see nor acknowledge to keep our community safe. Thank you. And have a good day, everybody.
Thank you, Norman. We'll go to Councilmember Heatherington.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming out and sticking with us tonight. First, I know he's not here tonight, but I do want to wish a happy birthday to the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Board, Terry Corey. I'm glad he's not here tonight. I hope he's out celebrating his birthday. Also, can't let February pass by without acknowledging CHD Awareness Month, congenital heart disease. These are defects of the heart structure, function, or both. It is the most common birth defect. About 1 in 100 babies are afflicted with congenital heart defects. There are over 300 different varieties of CHD, which means that the signs and symptoms are innumerable. And it is the leading cause of death in infants under 1 year old. I have some good friends who lost their firstborn son at 17 days because he had a congenital heart disease. So I can't let this pass without mentioning Sawyer. And House Bill 581, in my 18 months or so on this council, I think this was by far, and we've voted on some doozies, we've had some big projects. This was far and away the most difficult conclusion to come to. I have probably read and talked to and thought about and lost sleep over this vote more than anything else we voted on in the last 18 months. So thank you for your support. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to make these decisions for you. We appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Carrie. Councilmember Linsky.
I hope several of you were able to get out, very cold weekend, to run the Reagan or walk the Reagan, or if you're me, recovering from back surgery, just turning in the registration form and wearing the shirt and giving everybody the impression that you did walk and run. So my goal next year, though, is to be able to at least walk the 5K. So working with physical therapists right now to get back to the levels that I hopefully, honestly, haven't been back in 10 years. I don't know, have to go back. Thank you, Melvin, for serving on the executive board for the Run the Reagan event. You did an awesome job in planning it. Let's see, we have a farmer's market coming up again this weekend. I've already made a pre-order for some scones. And And also this weekend, we have 6 students from the Youth Commission, Snellville Youth Commission, that will be attending a very special conference, Georgia Municipal Association Conference, a youth forum downtown. So if you could, please keep them in your thoughts and prayers that they arrive safely and get home safely, and also have an incredibly fruitful discussion and learn an incredible amount of information so they can really take their place as stakeholders in Snellville. And thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Councilmember Schultz?
I was also going to mention there's a farmer's market Saturday, but that's been mentioned, so I won't repeat that. I also know that the community garden will soon be accepting applications for people that want to rent a bed there for the next garden year, which begins April 1st. They have 2 sizes of beds, 4x8s and 4x12s. And I tell you what, there's nothing like a good homegrown tomato, and you can grow quite a few tomatoes in a 4x12 bed. We get a lot of them out of our bed. Also, generally, now I don't know this for sure because I'm not really administering the garden anymore, but usually they have their first plant sale at the farmer's market in late March. So you'll want to be watching for an announcement of their plant sales at the farmer's market. They'll have all kinds of tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers and herbs and squash. Their plants are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And you won't find a better deal anywhere. So keep that in mind because it's a very popular event at the farmer's market. Thanks for coming tonight and hanging with us through some of these issues that we had to deal with tonight. They were pretty hard, so thanks.
Thank you, Gretchen. And Mayor Pro Tem Warner.
Well, the state legislature's in session, so watch your children and your wallet. Tonight, a lot of our time was spent dealing with last year's session. There's some really great things out there coming down the pike for us this year. I was trying to find the House bill number for the bill that would limit the amount of fines and forfeitures that our police department could get to, depending on which bill it is, either 35% of their total budget or 10% of their total budget. You may be unaware that our police department is looked at as the best in the state. We've won the governor's Highway Safety Award 3 years in a row. We actually chase down and find the perpetrators of hit and run here in the city. Gwinnett County just says, oh, they're gone, that's good. We have traffic patrols that write a lot of tickets, and we do that because, as you may have noticed, a lot of people have not only forgotten traffic laws, but they've forgotten the laws of common courtesy. And it's imperative, if we are to remain a society or a city that is civil and worth living in, that we have a very strong police force. So please reach out to your state representatives and let them know that whatever the House bill number is, it would be ill-advised to put such a limit on our police department. I don't know about you, but I don't want the chief to have to say on the 10th of the month, hey guys, you've gone over the state-imposed quota, which we don't have quotas. Stop enforcing the law because we've brought in too much money. That just, the same people who said you shouldn't defund the police for the last 5 years are now saying Guess what? We need to defund the police. They're doing it a different way. They're also looking into, hot button issue, taking away the school zone cameras. A lot of mixed emotions on that. But one thing I can tell you is we used to have 3 officers all day long sit over on 78 in front of the high school and pull people over that were breaking the speed limit. And they could sit there all day long and constantly have at least 2 people pulled over. And it made no impact at all on the average speed of traffic through there. Unless someone saw a police officer, they did not slow down. The speed limit's been 35 miles an hour for over 40 years. As soon as those cameras went in place, compliance went to 80%. I'm sure it's over that now, because whatever school zone in Snellville you drive through, you'll notice, oh, it must be a school zone because everybody is slowing down and obeying the speed limit. I understand you don't want to give people tickets without reason. The flip side of that is, let's find a way to make us able to enforce the traffic laws in school zones and not throw the baby out with bathwater. Across the state, there will be a jurisdiction, whether it's a school board that has millions of dollars in reserves and still raises taxes, or whether it is a local jurisdiction that is abusing the school zone cameras. Instead of taking care of the individual issues, our state legislature seems to say, one size fits all, let's take a big hammer and solve it. I can tell you that doesn't work. We dealt with that earlier tonight. So please reach out to your state legislature and ask them, pass the budget and go home. Just leave everything else alone. We'll take care of the problems at a local level. We can do it, but we don't need any more of their help. Thank you very much. Have a safe drive. The 80 of y'all who were here.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Warner. And just a couple of things. I would like to offer my condolences to the family of Donna Hill. Donna was a long time member of our Commerce Club and a member of the community here. And in fact, I was just trying to schedule a meeting with her. She did employee benefits and Medicare counseling. I was just trying to schedule an appointment with her and my husband. Not for me. I'm not on Medicare yet. And then I got word the next day, after she responded to me about scheduling a time, I got word the next day that she had passed away. So I don't know what happened, but just please keep her family in your prayers for that. I did run the Reagan. Actually, I didn't. Well, I ran about 30 feet because I stopped to talk to somebody and had to catch up to my family. I walked the rest of the time. And I do have pictures if I need to prove that I was out there. But it really was a lovely day. It's a great event. And just, it turns out to be a great opportunity to see people you haven't seen in a long time. There's just people from all over Gwinnett and around that attend that. So it was a great event, and weather turned out perfect. You know, and just one comment on House Bill 581. I mean, in opting in, we as a city council, Matt as the city manager, I mean, this is going to cause budgetary issues in the future, and we're just going to have to deal with those as a council, as we do every year with, you know, the budget. And, you know, we're already facing a pretty substantial increase coming up ahead on sanitation. And, you know, we'll just look for different options. We can do probably what we should have been doing all along, which is switching it back to a user fee where we're actually charging the residents for their home garbage pickup. And so we'll be looking at those types of options too to help take the pressure off the future budget and just being able to manage, you know, at least that cost. So that's all I will say in the mayor's report. So I will close that out, and then we'll move to public comments. Anyone would like to speak, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. 5 minutes on one topic, please.
Kurt Schultz, 2027 Tanglewood Drive. In the work session, you all were talking in relation to this moratorium on murals. It seems like it would make much more sense instead of creating all new ordinances for murals, since they're a form of sign, why not just roll them into the sign ordinance and, make a few adjustments, specific to murals in the sign ordinance, rather than have all this separate, cost involved with our lawyer. We could save some money there. I'm talking like Musk now. But anyway, it seems to make a lot of sense that we might look into doing that. And then there was a comment, I believe, from Carrie about, an architectural review board. And about 40 years ago, the city gave me the opportunity to create an architectural review board for the city. We had 3 registered architects and I believe 2 registered designers on the board. We tried for a year to create some, stipulations as far as designs of buildings, across the board, what could be done, and it was impossible. You just can't regulate, designs or art, as was discussed in the work session. So from that point, I was elected to the council, and that commission went on for another year, and they still could not come up with anything architectural or design-wise, to control designs in the city. But the one good thing that came out of that, we had our first plant and tree ordinance for the city, so that's where it all evolved. The city had nothing from there. So anyway, just a couple of things to think about the murals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Patricia Rollins, 2088 Harbor Oaks Drive. I would like to compliment our code enforcement team. It's been over 20 years of us trying to get Snellville Pavilion Shopping Center to cooperate, to show up for court, to hear the residents that live behind the shopping center. If you went back there today, it is very clean. The code enforcement has been after them since Thursday's code enforcement court. We still have people occasionally dropping couches and dumpsters in the middle of the night. We have an awning on the back of the building that's been flapping for 8 months that I've spoken with the city attorneys about. It's going to take care of itself. It's holding by one nail right now, one screw, and it's lodged between the other panels, so it's not flapping, thank goodness. But the rest of the property is looking better. The sandal that's been between Belks and Coles for the last year has been picked up. The other shoe that's in front of Coles the last 4 months has been picked up. The Urban Campers has been there for 2 years. To the side of Hook and Reel, we've seen action in her to possibly be moving on. We have a car that's in front of Big Lots that's been abandoned for 8 months. But the back of the building is where we were having problems with sex, drugs, trash, you name it, was behind the building, homeless people. And we've been communicating with the city. And like I said, if you went back there yesterday or today, it's a totally different place. I would like the city to hold them to the fire, make them pay their fines. Anybody out in the city has to show up to pay their fines. These people don't. Okay, we were told April 1st they wouldn't have a license if they don't pay their fines. You need to hold them to the fire or put a nuisance on them. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Bobby Howard, 2240 Pinehurst Road. Thank you. Thank those members that, I stood here 2 weeks ago and told you what an atrocious situation it was. And 4 of you rose to the occasion and honored what the voters opted in for. Now, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be that guy that comes back and fusses because y'all have to raise it, because I knew what I was getting into when I did it. But you honored the vote of the citizens, and that's the most important thing, because where does it stop when they give you such crazy situations, how do they word it, the way they word it, what they do? We all know what that's all about. But our legislature did you no favors, and I made that statement perfectly clear 2 weeks ago. But thank y'all, the ones that opted into this. That was a strong showing, and I wanted to say thank you for that.
Anyone else?
Melvin Everson, 1725 Winding Creek Circle. Just quickly, thank you all for those who showed up at Run to Reagan. It was a great day. And as of the final count for the number of runners, 1,443. And we will have our final meeting and we will determine how much we raised. But it was a tremendous success and it took a lot of work to get that, because it was cold, 6 o'clock in the morning out there setting that, as well as Friday afternoon setting up. And one last thing, as in my new position, VP of Community and Governmental Affairs with the Technical College, I have to cover all the cities, the county commissions in Gwinnett, as well as North Fulton. So when you don't see me here, I'm probably at a meeting somewhere in the area. 2 weeks ago, we had that great announcement by Mazda coming on board. We're doing a $9.5 million expansion for the automotive technician program at Gwinnett Tech with Mazda coming on board. In addition to that, we've also had a visit from Tesla. In addition to that, Rivian called President Cannon to express interest as far as coming to Gwinnett Tech. And last but not least, as of today, enrollment at Gwinnett Technical College, 11,465. We will top 12,000 students next semester. And those students are coming from everywhere. When I say coming from everywhere, everywhere. A lot of them have 2 years post-secondary education at a 4-year institution. They get there and they say, wait a minute, I'm spending all this money. I can go over here, get a certification, a skill set, and be gainfully employed, because we have a 99% placement rate, regardless of what program you're in, and an 86% placement rate if you drill down to the specific program. The biggest programs out there now, cybersecurity, healthcare, construction, welding, and mechatronics. It is off the chart. So thank y'all for what you do. Thank you. And I pray your blessings upon each one of you, and I'll see you at the farmer's market Saturday morning. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Seeing none, then I will close the public comment and entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. So motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming out tonight.